Imagine walking through a crowd. A man brushes past another's shoulder. A woman scratches her cheek. A child trips and skins their knee on the pavement. Now imagine every one of those sensations is your own. You don't empathize. You don't imagine. You feel it. The sting of skin splitting open. The heat of friction on a stranger's neck. The throb of a bruised ankle that was never yours. This isn't fantasy. This isn't metaphor. This is a rare and real condition called mirror touch synesthesia, a neurological echo chamber where the boundaries of self dissolve. For most of us, seeing someone touched activates only thought. We understand it. Maybe we flinch, maybe we relate. But for those with mirror touch synesthesia, the brain doesn't just process what it sees. It becomes what it sees. A slap on screen sends a tingle through their own cheek. A hug across the room presses into their ribs. The world is not a spectacle. It is a collision. The phenomenon is rooted in a structure known as the mirror neuron system. Yeah, an internal mechanism designed for empathy and imitation. It allows infants to mimic, adults to learn, and societies to bond. But in mirror touch synesthetes, this system goes beyond empathy. It crosses a threshold and never quite comes back. You see a man limping. They feel the limp. You notice a hand caressing another's face. They feel the fingertips. Now imagine living like that. In a world where every moment becomes contact. A woman watches a film. On screen, a character is stabbed. The audience winces. She grips her own side, breath shallow, heart racing. Because her nervous system doesn't know how to pretend. Another sits in a cafe. Across the room, a couple holds hands. A boy bumps his knee on the table. Smiles, pain, tension, affection, all of it, translated directly, involuntarily, onto her own skin. It's not empathy. Empathy has delay, thought. This happens before understanding. It's pre-conscious, immediate, uninvited. There is a haunting poetry to this condition, a quiet rebellion against the individual. Where does I end and you begin? If your body mirrors everyone in its view. In the distant future, some theorists wonder, what if mirror touch isn't an error, but an evolutionary preview? What if our species is destined to become sensorially entangled? To share pain, joy, sensation not through language or interface, but directly through neuroempathic convergence. Imagine a civilization where touch is communal, where sorrow is distributed, where one person's healing accelerates everyone else's recovery. Because every nervous system is networked. A biological hive mind, not of thought, but of feeling. Perhaps mirror touch synesthetes are not outliers, but the forerunners of what it means to be posthuman. Still, today, it is not a gift, at least not always. For some, the condition is mild, a flutter, a flicker, a shadow of sensation. But for others, it is constant and overwhelming, a relentless, inescapable cascade of borrowed suffering. Public spaces become war zones of unwanted sensation. Physical intimacy becomes a flood of signals. Even joy can overload the system, because it too is contagious. In one case, a man reported that watching someone scratch their eye made his own water uncontrollably. That someone rubbing their shoulder made his skin tingle for hours. He couldn't take public transit. He couldn't attend weddings or funerals. Too many bodies, too much contact, too many strings pulling on his senses, as if he were a marionette in a theater with no stage. And yet, in the quietest corners of their experience, some mirror-touch synesthetes describe something extraordinary. They speak of oneness, of living without walls between bodies, of never feeling alone, because every person they see, in some sense, lives through them. One described love not as emotion, but as shared temperature. Another said joy was like music, played on the skin, by strangers who never knew they were musicians. But how do you live like this? How do you love when every kiss feels like a crowd? How do you protect your own body when it isn't only yours anymore? There is no off switch, no cure, only adaptation, mindfulness, avoidance, rehearsed detachment in a world that never stops reaching for you. Mirror touch synesthesia isn't a disorder. It's not broken. It's just too open, too sensitive in a world built on division. But in a time where disconnection is epidemic, where digital avatars replace real presence, where loneliness becomes a daily language, maybe there's something sacred in a nervous system that still insists, I feel what you feel. Not by choice, not by design, but because we are made of the same thread. And some minds, by accident or by evolution, remember that.